And then I wanted them, because they've been friends and business partners and see this and share the same vision for so long. I made them a part of that event. Then they became friends. They started doing business together, and that's why this deal got done. So I implore everyone, get this knowledge, but if you don't apply it, these are opportunities. If you don't apply it, it doesn't have to be through social media, but if there's something better, I'm all for it. But if you don't, this is the only reason why they did the deal together.
Like street corner signs?
Yeah, you can do that. We buy houses, know what I'm saying? But like, there's parts to everything. Having this knowledge, having the ability to do it, but if you don't have the part that I specialize in to bring it all together, they would have never done the deal, they would say it themselves. And so, make that a part of the overall strategy if you're gonna implement this.
Another example with me is like, in that scenario, if that didn't get sold off, you know, an investor comes in and they try to sell it off, and they can't sell it off. They can't make their money. They don't give a shit. They're just like, oh, have it back. And then she's like, oh, I thought we sold, and then now she looks bad. By going through our network,
Right.
Nick and I will buy that if it doesn't sell, and we'll keep it as a renter for ourselves. So it's like, that's the difference between someone who's just trying to wholesale and make money, or someone that's like here and we're executing. The same with them. Gio has the ability to go ahead and turn that over to another buyer and turn it into a sale. He's a realtor, and now the house is gone. When you get these investors, they try to put an EMD down, sell the loan off. If it doesn't sell, they're like, all right, never mind, sorry, I'm out. Which is one of the troubles with title. They see a huge increase in the amount of submissions that are, you know, not actually completed, which is a huge waste of time for them. And so what do? Oh, we don't do sub 2 anymore. We don't deal with investors. We don't want to touch it. And that's why.
So what about if we have a seller that has this type of scenario that may work? Instead of looking for a buyer, should we maybe just call you guys first?
Exactly. So that's one of the
Skip that
I put
process?
in my listing. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, you know, when they don't have enough money.
Right,
to cover
right. Hey,
your
here, do you got
commission,
anybody
my
for this?
commission And everything.
It's a resource.
Or do you want it?
It's a resource for you, because guess
Right.
what? They came to you somehow. You're marketing, you're advertising, you know
Right.
them, they go to church with you. Somehow they're like, hey, I'm trusting you with my home sale. So
Right.
if you can go in there and solve their problem,
Right.
just because it's not a full traditional sale, you're still solving
Like,
the
hey, let me
problem.
call my people.
They're going to tell their friends. You're still
Right.
going to grow your business from it, and that's the whole thing.
Yep.
That's why
Yep.
Solving people's problems, that's it.
Yep.
actually.
we wanted it to be educational in that regard, because it's a tool for you guys to do your job better. Everybody's afraid of it and think that it's like, you know, this like fly-by-night thing or illegal. Like, you wouldn't believe how, I think I need to take this to the board. I'm like,
Whoa.
just Google it. Like, it's completely
I know he's telling me.
So you're the front line.
I'm like, I have no idea. Like, he's like, do you know this guy? I'm like, I don't know him anymore. I don't want to know him. He sounds like an idiot.
You had mentioned something about, you mentioned with the servicing company. So, me and my wife, we did a subject, our first subject to last month, but we didn't use this servicing company, it was a VA loan. But she was happy with just us not changing the password and her being able to go in and check it.
Yeah.
Is that okay, or do you have to do a servicing?
So the reason that we use a servicing company, there's two reasons. One, you gain some insurance from it to protect yourself, and two, which helps with the contract, and two, that's how you can mitigate it on her debt to income ratio. So if we can show that we're making the payment, how do we show that? The servicing company. Then we can omit that from her DTI by 75% after 3 months, by 100% after a year. So if she were down the road to want to go buy something else or do something, it doesn't have to be, it could be a car, it could be anything. Then we'd be like, hey, she's not making that payment, we're making it. We use a servicer and they'll omit that
I have a
DTI. So
question.
She
Gio's got
wasn't a
something.
concern of hers at the time, though,
Yeah.
in the future if it does.
if it does.
Bring that up.
And there's some insurance that you can get on it as well. What, when you use the servicing company, the insurance that you'll get for, because they're paying out the escrows and everything like that. So we all use Westar in town, and so it kind of serves a purpose. of both
Would he
sides.
be able to set it up after the fact, or
Yeah.
your client?
So how do you pay right now? How do you make the payment?
Well, she goes, my wife goes directly into the account, logs in and pays it. So the seller would just basically,
That's it.
don't change the password, that way I can check, not throw this way.
Yeah, so what would happen
Send you an
is
email if it's late,
if
right?
the online banking system requires you to change the password every 6 months just for security protection, and
Right.
you can't get a hold of her, how are you gonna make the payment?
Well, we have the password,
What if
but if
the
she
bank,
couldn't get, you're saying if the bank couldn't
if
get.
the bank requires you to change the password every 6 months, like
Oh, we
some,
couldn't get hold of the seller.
you can't get a hold of her, how would you make the payment?
Well, we would change it and make the payment, but then the seller would have to reach out to us and say, hey, I should try to check, and I don't have the new password.
Yeah, so
A lot of times the sellers just
Yeah,
disappear.
so I reached the seller before, like after the fact, and they don't want to answer my call. Like, hey, I sold the house to you, like I took my money, like don't call me anymore.
Yeah. Fortunately, that's not the case with this one,
100%.
but
That is why.
that could be a
That is
problem.
why we use a servicing company though, because now we know we don't need them for anything.
Yeah.
They could go to
But
the
is he
Philippines.
an
Maybe I'll do
entity?
that.
Are you doing this out of an entity or yourself? Yeah, so you want to protect your energy as well, so I would highly recommend Westar. It's $27 a month, you know, to get them to service the loan.
And if you
Yeah,
have a
originally
lot,
we're gonna go do that, and then the seller said I was